Yeah.
Yeah.
He's trying his best, bless him.
Exactly. But yeah, we're live, buddy-o.
All right. Do you have like live chat up and everything? Because I don't have access to it right now.
I do, yeah, but unfortunately, I can't type from OBS into the chat, which is kind of annoying. So
Okay.
I can only see, which is
All
a
right.
little bit annoying.
Yeah, that's fine.
I'd have to pull up a completely different window and do that to type back.
Get out there. Just get to the room. Oh, loads of stuff has happened in the last 24 hours.
Oh yeah,
and it's been quite a busy week. Anyway, I would say. Have you heard any of it? Anything? Anything at
I
all?
mean, I know about like the Starfield stuff and then all the Activision shit that's still going on. But apart from that, not too much, no.
Okay. Oh god. I just went onto our video and I've got it playing at 1.75 by default, and I was like, I'm not speaking that fast. I haven't had that much coffee. Okay. I mean, I think I'm ready to go. I've got the notes up, and I'm in the control room.
Nice, man. Yeah, I'm good to go from my end. So we
Right.
can start a jingling.
Yeah, let's start jingling.
Yeah.
That's what I probably should have posted it to socials. I'll do that in a minute. That's fine. Okay. We jingling, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, we are, yeah.
Lovely. All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the 73rd episode of the Quick Resume podcast. I hope you're all doing so well. My name is Deck, if you haven't been here before, and over there is the co-host of the show and an all-round just top-notch bloke.
It's me, Tim. And thanks, man. You're a top-notch bloke as well.
Yeah, a couple of top-notch blokes on the show for you today, just for you and only you, your eyes only. So, we've got a handful of stuff to talk about this week. It's been fairly busy. Scorn came out. There's been Minecraft Live. There's been controversy around Gotham Kights, would you believe it? And it might only be hitting 30 frames, Tim.
Oh, next gen, 30 frames.
Yeah, yeah. I know. They're all very controversial stuff that you might have to stick around and listen to. The CMA, the UK regulator, is having a big old feud with Xbox. That's still going. Will it ever stop? I don't know. Hopefully, death comes first, and much more. Much more. Starfield. Let's not forget about Starfield. Or Phil posting a picture of his shelf, the little links.
Oh, yeah.
With a sneaky Xbox device on it as well. He's right there on the thumbnail. I even did the red circle.
Oh wow!
The BuzzFeed red circle.
Yeah, I haven't seen this picture, this shelf. So that's
it's in the notes, so you can have a look. But yeah, well, thanks for joining. If you're here live, or if you're here after the fact, say hi. Say hi in the chat. Let us know you're here. So Tim, let's start with you, man. How's your week been? I know we've been playing a lot of Overwatch together, but how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. It's been a pretty good week. Pretty busy from both personal and the gamer brain. So yeah, just everything kind of ramping up at work and stuff. But had a nice little release to come back to at the end of every day. Not Overwatch. I say release. Sometimes it makes me rage, dude. Overwatch does make me like it's quite an irritating shooter, isn't it, compared to most. I don't know. There's just something about it that is quite infuriating when you have teammates that just, I don't know, you either have to flex around or they just don't do anything, And it's just like, I don't expect everyone to be sweaty. I understand it's quick play, and maybe I'm taking it a bit too seriously or whatever. But it can be really annoying when they just like insta-lock DPS and you flex around them, even though you wanted to play that specific role, and then they just don't do it even remotely correctly. And you're like, oh my God.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
it's funny. It's funny. I was playing with our friend Jake yesterday, and we had someone like join late, and everyone else had picked. I think this is an unspoken rule that if you pick first, then you're usually safe, and you have to fill as a result.
Yeah.
And we'd picked, and the one person left who hadn't picked was called Big Batty. And for a minute straight in the pre-game, before anything started, we were like just going back and forth. Like, Big Batty is such a nice guy.
Yeah.
Big Batty's going to fill with support. He's going to pick a Mercy. He's going to pick a Lucio, and we're going to have a great time. Big Batty would never do this to us. And it ticks down to like the final second. We walk out the door, and he still hasn't picked. And he's like, Big Batty's probably just getting prepped to pick support. It's quite mentally taxing. And then he just left because he had to play support.
Oh my God, he just left the game. I don't know what's worse. Oh, yeah, leaving the game is worse than picking Widow. But yeah, it's rough out there in Overwatch. But regardless, it's been a nice little game to be able to just hop on every single day. I'm still really having a lot of fun with it. And I think it's great, even though there's so much controversy around that game. I feel like people just need to kind of enjoy it for what it is a little bit. It's still the Overwatch and love, but kind of just better in the way it plays. So I don't know. I think people, as always, are just never satisfied. And I'm not saying this game's perfect. Like, there are some serious issues with it, but like generally it's fine. And the sort of the developer update was a little bit on the slim side, with the fact that we still have this achievement bug on Xbox where we get kicked every single time we got an achievement. Oh, it's fixed now, is it?
I got an achievement yesterday and I didn't get kicked. So.
Oh, okay. Well, that's literally happened in the last 24 hours, so I do apologize.
Unless that's an outlier,
but
yeah,
that could have been like an Overwatch 1 like achievement potentially. Maybe that's why. Oh no, because
I don't know. It was a Sombra. I don't know. All I know is that it didn't crash for that one bug. I haven't had a second one to be able to replicate it. So I don't know.
Well, that's good then. If they fix that, we still don't know. But and it was just a little bit slim on the fact. Like I do think some tweaks are needed to a fair few characters. I know it's still quite early in its life cycle, but I definitely do think some characters need bringing down a peg or two, and some need bringing up a peg or two. But they're basically their dev notes basically just said they're really happy with everyone's balance, and they're just like, everyone's got like a 40 to 50% win ratio, so we're not touching them. And it's like, I guess, yeah, sure. I mean, you can go with the hard facts, but you can also just kind of play the game and get a feel for it. It definitely isn't perfectly balanced, and there are some tweaks needed there. But yeah, having a lot of fun with that. What else have I been playing? I really don't think I've been playing like anything else. We wanted to jump.
There is only Overwatch.
Yeah. It's basically Overwatch. Yeah, we've been wanting to jump on Evil, which came to Games Pass.
Yeah.
I don't know if that was going to be in the honorable mentions at some point.
It would have been if we'd played it, but
yeah. That's recently come out. Games Pass in the last week or two, and it's like another like Among Us sort of style game.
So social deductive game, yeah,
exactly. But we just haven't really had the party members on to make a full. We totally would have played it if we had like our 6-man party on like normal, or 7-man party, but everyone's kind of been doing their own thing. So basically just Overwatch for me. What about you?
Awesome. I mean, before we we'll come back around to Overwatch, because there is just a very, very small bit of news I wanted to touch on about it. But I played and completed Scorn.
Yeah, I saw that you completed that.
Yeah. It's a really short game. It's only 4 hours long. Well, I clocked it at 4 hours.
Damn.
And it was a real roller coaster of an experience for me. Overall, I liked it. I had a good time. I'm really glad I got to play it. It's one of those games where you have it and you're like, this was a far from perfect game, but I'm really glad I got to play on Game Pass because that was very, very unique, and it was very, very unique. It's just that there's just like one or two like glaring problems that I feel like could have been really easily avoided. Like the game, it's essentially a puzzle game, and I'll stay away from spoilers. Not that I could spoil it if I wanted to, because it's so fucking weird and like obscure that it wouldn't mean anything to you if I said it out loud.
Yeah.
But it's essentially a puzzle like exploration game.
Yeah.
There's no action here, really. Don't expect going into this. So there's like one or two sequences where there is a little bit. But if you've read the reviews, you probably have a clear idea of what people are angling for with the game. But the big thing that people keep saying is the combat's really bad. Like everything else is really good, but the combat's really bad. And I'm not sure. I guess it just depends what you're talking about when you say combat. Like because the guns look good, they sound good, they fight, they generally control well. Like you don't have any options for like you can't change sensitivities or anything like that because it's not a shooter. So whatever, that's fine. Generally, you're not shooting at stuff. There's good enemy reactivity, stuff like that. It's to me, it's more the encounter design, which is really bad. Like there are times where they like will just put enemies in like a corridor, and so you're essentially as the player faced with a decision: do I try and shoot through this enemy? Do I try and run past them? Or do I just walk backwards until they like leave me alone?
Yeah.
And I find that the first two just barely ever work. Like you don't have a good sense of enemy health.
Okay.
And their hitboxes are really big. So you can try and run past them, but you just won't be able to. And it will just be really frustrating because generally you move quite like you turn quite slow as well. So if you run forward and then want to turn away, you'll die quite quick. You'll take a few hits.
Yeah.
And that was a problem I ran into in the mid part of the game. I really almost put the game down because I was like, if the rest of the game's just going to be like this after they started introducing enemies, I don't know if I can be bothered. Like, it's a bit too annoying. Okay. Eventually, I just learned, and this is my advice to you, like you and like the listener, if you want to give it a go. When you come across enemies, don't even bother shooting them. Most of them just fuck off. Just literally do a 180, walk backwards, put your controller down for 15 seconds, and then go back. It's like, and that's what I mean when I'm saying encounter designs. Like the enemies, they just go away, and that's fine. But like, I kind of think it's almost a problem that they tried to give you guns. But had they just not done that,
it
would have been, it would have had a more of a survival feel, and they could have changed the maps to give. Yeah, they could have like changed maybe the routes. There's another route you can take, but there's oftentimes there's not.
Yeah,
like there's one path. There's an enemy on it. Okay, you have to make the decision. Do I run? And like again, I didn't realize that because the game gives you no tutorial. The only sense of what button does what is when you press the start menu, which is obviously fine. But I think because again, everything in the game is so obscure, you can't immediately tell what it is, and that's great. I think that's a really good feeling in terms of making like a mystery, whatever Scorn is, like a horror thriller, whatever.
Yeah.
But in terms of like readability, I had this fucking thing which was like a bunch of testicles on the end of like a rectum. I don't know how else to describe it. I'm being genuinely, and you put it into this machine, and a little needle goes in, and it puffs up the little testicles. The little testicles are health balls, and you jam them in your wrist. And I didn't know that, but because you hold RB to do it. I didn't know that, and I was like, after dying a few times, I press start. And am I missing anything? Turns out I was missing that because here's the other glaring like downside: the checkpoint system. The game doesn't tell you you can't save the game. It will save for you when it wants. There seem to be some like automatically triggered checkpoints in the game, but the game doesn't tell you when it's saved. Like there's no like spinny icon, there's nothing. It tends to be after a section, but you won't know when that is. Quick resume was like literally a lifesaver because had I just closed the game, I would have like lost loads of progress in multiple sections.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's really interesting.
But beside that, I mean, it literally is more of what you've seen like online. It's more of that. Really interesting art style, really interesting. It looks really good, like visually, like not just like artistically. Does it look really interesting and like obviously like macabre and like kind of gross. Like the volumetric lighting is really good. Like it just looks really.
The lighting did stand out to me when I saw trailers and stuff like that for such a kind of like grim looking dark game and stuff like that. Yeah, it did have some very nice very nice lighting, and it did graphically look quite impressive. Yeah.
Yeah, and the environments were just good as well. And it's don't expect any like face value story to be told here. Like a lot of the story is told in its environment, and it's a lot of like it's very allegorical as well. There's a lot of allegory here, about the human experience, and that's fine. You can get to the end of it, make your own interpretation there, and that's fine. That was, I think, well done for like the short experience that it was. But as I say, mostly the game is it's mostly a puzzle game. The logic puzzles in there were reasonably enjoyable. I thought they were all pretty good, to be fair. But the third act, I would say there's the tutorial, and then there's act 1, 2, and 3, essentially. The second is where they start throwing loads of enemies with you. That's where I started to have my worst probably time with the game until I figured it out. But the third act was genuinely very good. The game's quite quiet for most of the time. There are some bits of music and score that play throughout. But in the third act, there's this really like piercing like soundtrack they start to play. There's just like high violins, like with some like low bass, and it's like just really unsettling. It's like what you'd expect, like in a Prometheus or an Alien movie.
Yeah.
Like coming into like an alien planet or something. And it's like the environment in the third act is totally different to 1 and 2, which are quite similar. And it gives you like a lot more of an insight into the world and what's going on. And it was just really good. It was really captivating, that last act. I wish they'd made more of it like that. I really enjoyed that final bit. So it's worth seeing through if you can stomach it, stomach a bit of annoyance and, some very slow gameplay. It is very, very slow gameplay. To just kind of take in the visuals. That last act is really good. But yeah, I probably would agree with the reviews. I'd probably give it somewhere between the 7 and a 7.5 because that is a fucked up checkpoint system. And some of those encounter designs are just like so frustrating. Most people are going to get to that and just put it down.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't seem very, I mean, just by the way you're describing it, it doesn't seem very user friendly. Because I have to admit, like, we're relatively adept gamers. We play games every single day. We have for God knows how long. It's been like one of our main hobbies. A new player booting this up or looking for like a horror experience is probably putting this down very quickly. With how obscure some of this stuff is. And I get that's not necessarily their targeted audience. I get that, and they're not necessarily upset that these people will put down that game. They probably predicted that in their statistics, but it is a shame. Especially something only 4 hours long or something. As a developer, you'd like everyone that downloads it and opens it to ideally finish it, especially if it's such a short experience. Having players drop off a 4-hour game is not ideal. But yeah, it definitely sounds interesting. And it is on my radar, and especially knowing it's quite short now, that's actually a little bit more appealing to me. Because with the games I'm enjoying right now, that's taking up so much of my time, it doesn't seem like so much of a commitment to hop into this gross game and just play it for 4 hours and just be like, oh, that was fun, So to me, I actually quite like the length of the game. That's quite appealing to me. But
yeah, it was nice. It was nice that it was short. I will say, I wouldn't like if there had been another act of like similar to the third act. I wouldn't have. That would have probably been quite nice because it was really captivating. But I'm not. I think it was good that it ended when it did because, like I said, the gameplay is very, very slow.
Yeah,
it's lots of walking around, looking at the environment, going from one interactable to the next to figure out how they kind of fit together, sort of thing. So yeah, I would recommend it. As I say, if you want to give it a go, when you get to those enemy encounters, don't bother trying to fight. There's like, if you've seen other reviews, there's like 1 or 2 enemies that you have to fight in the entire game, and and here's something else as well. Like it's just really weird. Like one of the guns you get early on, it's like a pistol, and when you're moving, the crosshair's big. And then I realized later that if you stop moving, it goes really short. Like the crosshair comes in, and essentially you can fire it from a range. But like the gun doesn't change to communicate. Like why? Why does that just close so much? It literally becomes like a little shotgun thing to a pistol, and I just don't feel the game like I couldn't have known that unless I spotted it by complete accident. And after that point, I was actually picking off some things from a distance. Like I probably did more shooting than most people did in the end. Once I figured that out, I was like, oh, that's actually quite helpful, for some of these encounter designs where there's like long hallways and there's something at the end. It's like, oh, how am I going to get past other than getting its attention, walking backwards, waiting 30 seconds, and then walking back in. So, but it's overall would recommend. Super unique. Like we said, only 4 hours long. Easy game score as well.
Nice. Nice. And what would you so you give it like a 7. What would you give the gore on a scale of 10? Was it as gory as we were predicting?
On the gore
was
scale.
Was it pretty cringe, some of these scenes?
Yes, some of it is pretty gross. Some of it is pretty gross, yeah. Definitely some of it did get under my skin a little bit. Literally. I'd probably give it like an 8, maybe an 8.5 on the gore scale.
All right. Respectable.
Yeah, respectable for sure. Okay, so I wanted to come back around to Overwatch 2 then, because obviously it's something we've been playing. He's touched on it a little bit, but like the reason that I'm bringing it back up is because Blizzard announced this week that Overwatch 2 reached 25 million players in 10 days, whereas Overwatch 1 only hit. I've got 10 million in the first 3 months. That's the stat.
Damn, that's crazy.
And it's not, it's regular. It's normal that sequels have more growth than initial, the first games. That happens. Like sequels grow and grow and grow. That's why Witcher 3 exploded, and et cetera, et cetera. But yeah, like you said, obviously free to play is a big part of this. But I always just find this really, really interesting, because especially when there are loud bubbles online, and content creators making very negative content about a game, to see the games have this much success. You know what I mean? So it's a bit of a glaring contradiction.
Yeah. What you mean is in just the negativity around its success. Are you talking about?
Yeah, sort of. It's just like with the way people are talking about it, you'd expect this game, nobody to have played it.
Yeah. I mean, and that's exactly what it is. Like negativity spreads. We know that as gamers, it spreads a lot more than positivity. I just think even these people that are really upset at the game or not happy with it, they're still playing it, I think. And I think with just a shooter not really entering the scene for a little while, especially on like consoles and stuff like that, I think it's just people are just still giving it a go and playing it, even if they're not particularly happy with it, just because it's just something different. It's something that pulls us away from Apex or Call of Duty, before Modern Warfare 2 launches, and stuff like that. So it'd be interesting to see how many of those will be recurring players moving into the weeks, and when Modern Warfare 2 comes out, how many drop off and stuff like that. But I kind of knew it was going to be extremely successful. I mean, Overwatch is just, like we said, it's Overwatch. It plays fantastic, and they've only improved the gameplay. In all honesty, not sure if they've improved the gameplay loop per se. Like, I think there's a lot of work to be done there in terms of, like, they have added more maps and more game modes and more heroes and stuff. But in terms of progression, earning skins and stuff like that, that's probably actually worse than Overwatch 1 at the moment. Like, I prefer the model they're going with, but how they've executed it is actually worse than the loot boxes as it is right now. I just don't see why they didn't just keep loot boxes, but just only have them for like account levels, like in Overwatch 1. Account level, you get a loot box. XP, you get a loot box. You get a loot box, but they're just not purchasable with real money, right? Then it just takes the whole gambling aspect away from it. You can't buy account levels. You can't buy loot boxes, but you just earn them through XP. And then you just get shit quicker. But then, like you said, that doesn't help them when they go free to play, right? They need to make these things grindy. They need to try and force the player to buy it with real money. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I think, like this needs to be really sort of like really carefully considered, because I had this interaction on Twitter the other day, and I got like mega dunked on, and I muted the conversation because I was like, oh, I'm not doing it. No one's just like, this shit happens, and that's fine. But like my point was really that in the conversation of like like Gotham Knights, like I guess this is a bit of a tie-in. And it running supposedly at 30 as opposed to 60, you know, people being upset that it's not worth the full price, the money, and that, you know, and then there was some back and forth with one of the devs at Rocksteady who said that, you know, really with inflation, games should be more expensive, you know, particularly like single player, well, you know, not single player, but, you know, the traditional model that's not live service, I guess, non-live service games.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, you know, that's actually probably a fair point. Like if games had continued to go up since the mid 2000s, in line with inflation, you know, we'd be looking at like £80 games. That's why a lot of publishers are supplementing that with microtransactions as well. However, like those games don't tend, you know, the full pack, the non-service games don't tend to have microtransactions as well, and free-to-play games. You know, I guess where I'm going with this is that I have a problem with double and triple monetizing. I do. And if you're charging like full price now, I consider that a type of monetization. That's where your money's coming from. It's coming from that upfront payment. I don't like the idea of you doing that and then having, you know, like free to play microtransactions, or you know, free to play games can double and quadruple up on it as well. You know, they can have buyable loot boxes, like loot boxes in your battle pass, or, you know, and like, et cetera, et cetera. You know, the list goes on and on how this can kind of work. So I think it's just interesting where that line is sort of drawn for people at the moment. Because yes, tying it back to Overwatch 2, yeah, there are definitely some wrinkles to sort out. And I think industry wide, with this move to free to play, the only thing we've really got a general agreement on is that a battle pass is okay, but we want credits in it, like, you know, to contribute towards the shop or contribute towards, and we want earnable currency. That's generally agreed as well. But the rest of it is kind of up in the air, like shop prices, and, you know, can loot boxes still be earnable, you know, and things like that. So it will take a bit of time, but I'm sure we'll get there.
Yeah.
Hi, Joaquin, as well in the chat.
Hi, Joaquin. Yeah, for sure. It's just and I think even if they do it sparsely, I still think it's just a win, right? I like, even if they chuck in like 5 loot boxes throughout the whole battle pass, you know, you just earn them like one every 10-15 levels or something like that. That does speed up your process of just earning stuff significantly, even if it's just like 5 loot boxes. You know, they don't need to go crazy. And, you know, because there's a chance of you just pulling an epic or something like that, and you're like, oh great, that's a cool epic, I now don't need to spend 250 premium currency on it or whatever. But yeah, they don't need to do anything crazy about it, just something to just speed up the whole collection process a little bit, because there is so much there are so many things per character in Overwatch. Like each character has like 30 skins. Each character has like 5 to 10 emotes. Each character has highlight intros. Each character has victory poses. Each character has voice. It's mental. Like you can't earn all that at a steady enough pace with the model they got right now. Like you just can't. Like everything will be locked. You'll have like 1% of items by like year 2. Like,
well, yeah. I think that's a concern of mine as well, like particularly with the way Overwatch, because Overwatch has quite a variety of cosmetics that aren't just tied to your gun. You know, typically in like Call of Duty, even like Halo, you know, most of the cosmetics are like put something on your gun or put something on your armor. Like Overwatch has sprays, it has voice lines, you know, it has player icon, things like that. And I'm a bit worried that like, how does this work? Like, how does this change in model affect people's ability to get those things? Because typically they were loot box filler. So you would get them as a byproduct, kind of trying to go for bigger things.
Yeah.
Or you'd get duplicate currency that you could then spend. But and I know you'll get some from the battle pass, like that's fine. But nobody's ever going to spend currency on a voice line. It almost becomes top heavy, you know, because we spoke about this last week. But the point of focus around the free to play model, at least for Overwatch, is that it's going to take 8 months to grind out enough to buy a legendary skin. And like, yeah, of course, people want to save up for the big, so like, you know, the whole model becomes a bit top heavy, and that people want to save and then spend it on the big thing. Like nobody's going to earn 500 in 8 weeks and buy a fucking spray, you know, Lucio with a big head or something. You know what I mean? So I think that's a bit problematic. So I don't know how they're going to try and work around that.
Yeah, exactly. And you literally, it's so hard to cram that into like a battle pass as well, like those sort of things, because like you said, they're so small and minuscule, and there's only so many tiers in a battle pass. Like, sure, you could have loads of voice lines and sprays and emblems built into a battle pass, but then you have to make your battle pass like 250 levels or like 300 levels, like unless you do multiple rewards per tier. You know, you hit tier 5, you get 2 voice lines, you get 3 voice lines, you get a voice line with an emblem. But yeah, they definitely need to do that, because there is literally, God, there's thousands and thousands of things to get over all the character roster in Overwatch. And you know, since playing Overwatch 2, I've only earned like 30 things. Like, it's crazy. And to anyone that's coming in fresh as well, we have a lot of stuff that carried over from Overwatch 1. To anyone entering fresh is literally just like, how do I get all this shit? Like, this is crazy. Like, physically, how do I get this stuff? There are thousands of things in front of me, and the battle pass only gives me like 50 things. Like, I'm really lost.
Yeah, that's right. So we'll see how it shapes out. There's still some work to be done. I'm a bit disappointed that the Halo approach to battle passes hasn't caught on. Not expiring and all that.
Yeah, that'd be so nice, wouldn't it?
Because I think one of the problems you get with like kind of a loot box approach is that you have to gate out content on a weekly basis. Do you know what I mean? It's like, you can go and 3 this week. Get your first win of the day, or whether you're gated to a maximum in the week. There's a battle pass you can grind indefinitely until you reach the end of it. Then it's like, when you reach the end of it, what happens then? Like, you stop earning things entirely altogether. So there's that to think about as well. Like, I like that some games are now doing like prestige battle passes, or prestige tracks, which is you get to the end and you essentially go back to level 1, and there's like another battle pass with very sparse small rewards throughout. And like Smite used to have like a recolor of the skin that was in the normal battle pass at the end, for people who really, and it's like, I'm never going to like realistically do that, but I like that there's still a track that you go along after you finished. And this is like, it becomes double the problem now that they've removed account levels, right? Because it's like, I'm not even leveling up on my account. It's say Halo Infinite conversation again, but yeah. Hi Timmer in the chat.
Oh yeah.
Hope you're doing well.
Yeah. I mean, it's all stuff we've said before for Overwatch 2, and I'm sure they know it as much as we do. It's still early in the game. It's only 2 weeks into its launch. I'm sure they'll adjust some things, but yeah, it's just a classic free to play model talk, isn't it? Let's just see how it evolves, really. I think Blizzard are quite a smart company with this sort of stuff. So I think they'll get there, and hopefully they'll learn off all the other games that came before it. So
yeah. Okay. Well, very, very quickly then, a couple of other things here. Apple Music is now available on Xbox. Woohoo! I've never used an Apple Music in my life. Have you?
Me neither. Nope. Never ever.
Is it like the same as Spotify? I mean, I guess it is, right?
It's basically the same.
Some people, some people are like crazy about Apple Music. I have a friend who's an Apple Music fan, and they're like crazy about it. I don't know what. I don't know what they like pay him.
It's just a subscription fee that allows you a library of music. It's Spotify with a different skin, like
with an Apple logo.
Yeah, essentially, I guess it's like built in. It comes with the phone. Its integration's better, but I mean, realistically, I think all third party tools would integrate better with Spotify rather than Apple Music. Spotify is king when it comes to the streaming of music, and it remains to be that way. So, but yeah, great, I guess.
Yeah, it would seem so. I guess the only weird thing is that obviously Apple and Xbox and Microsoft are usually sworn enemies, so it's cool. I guess money trumps adversary. Xbox Game Pass is coming to the Meta Quest VR, announced by Satya at the Microsoft Connect event last week. Cool. I still don't really have much of an interest in VR, but by all means, get Game Pass in more places.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll come back around to Gotham Knights then, and the whole 30 frames per second debacle. Yeah, so this wasn't like there was basically some people had claimed to get access to the game early, and they were saying there doesn't seem to be any options for performance here. It's running at 30. And then yesterday or the day before, whenever it was, the last 24 or 48 hours, one of the devs piped up in one of the in the Discord, in the Gotham Kights Discord, and said, yeah, well, yeah, basically, yeah, it's 30 frames. And the reason for this is because we're running untethered co-op. So people can drop in at any time, and you have to be able to go to anywhere in the world. So the world has to be constantly rendered in, and as a result, that's hitting performance. And that's just how we're doing it. And so I guess before we go on to the next part of the story, my question, because we've spoken about this before, we've spoken about tethered co-op and how how that can kind of really impact games. But if you had to pick between 60 frames or untethered co-op, what are you picking?
It's genuinely quite tough.
Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. It is quite tough. It entirely does depend on the type of game it is, though, because some games and their art style and just the whole direction with how they approach gameplay and how it looks and everything, a game can still look and feel pretty good running at 30. I don't know if Gotham Knights is one of those games that will look good running at 30. So it's quite tough to say, but I mean, if the game is like, I am purchasing this to play this with a group of friends, this is my sole purpose for buying it, is to play this with 1, 2, or even 3 of my friends from start to complete, I think I'm probably choosing untethered co-op 30 frames.
I think it's only 2-player, by the way.
2-player, sorry. Regardless, my point still stands. Turtleneck boy.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
don't want to get sued by Warner Brothers,
That's true. Yeah. For some reason, I thought it could go up to 4 because of all the characters. But yeah, sorry.
Well, that's why. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think I'm choosing. I think I'm choosing 30 and untethered co-op. In all honesty, but then I would like the option to also just be like, I can boot the game in offline mode, play it solo, give me a 60 frames option now. They obviously don't have that, do they?
That's right. Yeah, no, they don't, and they've categorically said that they don't, and that's I think that's really where the problem is.
Yeah.
Because we had the same conversation when we spoke about the Halo Infinite. But you can't reveal, and there's tethering and that, and we did say at the time, I'm assuming that this is for some performance, like due to performance difficulties, and if I had to do the calculation, do I think would I rather play that game at 30 frames with untethered? My answer would be no. I would rather have 60 frames on a shooter. Of course.
Yeah.
So these compromises are interesting, and I think the options are especially important. That gap between 30 and 60 frames has widened for a lot of people because we've become more accustomed to just 60. So, I think if you're going to try and make your 30 frames the default, you need to try and have some options, which Gotham Knights clearly doesn't have.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
it gets worse. So, as Wakina said in the chat, the Rocksteady, not the same Rocksteady dev that confirmed it in the Discord, but a different one, sort of came to the defense. I mean, kind of, it was like defending the team's work, because a lot of people were upset about this. And one of the things he said was that the Series S was a potato, and that it was holding back the generation, and because they had to scale the game for that, that's one of the reasons it's not running at 60. So we had a lot of people. We obviously don't really have the answer here. This person was a technical artist director or something, so they weren't like an engineer. There was a lot of back and forth on kind of the theoretical computing power and how that kind of works, because we've had this conversation before. Does the Series S hold back games? And I think realistically, I feel like the consensus was no. I feel like Digital Foundry have done some good work on this. I mean, there might be some edge cases where developing for both can be a bit restrictive, but for the most part, no. And also, this dev seems to have a history of ragging on the Series S, throughout they seem to have a history of just not liking having to develop for it. Don't know what it is. So yeah, it was a bit of a weird thing, and they had since apologized for ragging on the Series S because the tweet got traction, and then they realized, I think somebody had pointed out to them that they were kind of being a bit rude and disrespectful to the people that had worked on the Series S, like calling it a potato, So, yeah, bit of a weird one.
Yeah, it's a bit of a weird one. And I mean, you're not building, you can still build it. I mean, I don't know anything about this sort of stuff, in terms of developing, but like, surely you can just build natively for a Series X and then just scale everything down for the Series S, right? Instead of just building for both platforms at the same time and then having it hold back the Series X as well.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Well, my understanding is that because the games have to be built in scope, like with all of the consoles in mind. Do you know what I mean? So they were like, oh, we can only have the city be this dense because if we pushed it another step further, it just wouldn't run on the Series S, or it would run at an unacceptable performance.
Okay.
And that means the whole thing has to be scaled down a little bit. That's kind of my understanding. Again, in some edge cases.
Do you think that might result in Series X only games in the future?
Nah, they'll never do that.
No? Okay.
No. They might do a I mean, this does lead into like a different conversation around like, pro devices, like mid-gen upgrades.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Not that the Series S is struggling. Like I think they had a bit of difficulty at launch helping devs with like, I don't know if all the tools were available, because a lot of games came out at 30. There was some backlash, and then they were upgraded to 60. I remember Cyberpunk was one of them in particular that very recently got a 60 frames patch. It's like Cyberpunk can run at 60. 60. I don't know what the resolution is. Probably somewhere between 900 and 1080. Then like other games can. Cyberpunk is very dense.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, I reckon the Series S Pro is on the docket somewhere.
Jesus, I just read Joaquin's comment. It's mental.
What is it?
I've not heard this. Something about drama. Apparently, Amaranth is married to an abuser who forces her to stream, takes her money under threat of killing her dogs. She broke down in tears. I don't know who
Jesus
Amaranth is. I'm assuming this is some famous Twitch streamer or something. I'm not. Who is that? I don't know. Does it ring a bell for you?
The name does ring a bell, but I don't really like. Amaranth isn't one of like the hot tub streamers and shit. I don't know. That's the only thing that's coming to mind when I'm seeing the name.
So it's okay. No, I don't know her, but yeah, it seems reveals she's
the Twitch landscape is getting weirder by the year.
Yeah, man. Well, it's because there's so much money in it. It's ridiculous.
I don't know. Like,
more money, more problems.
Like everybody. I guess I know we literally do a podcast, but like it seems like so many people want to get involved with like Twitch and content creation and stuff. I mean, like, the reason we do a podcast because it's fairly low effort. To be honest with you, we I make notes throughout the week. We turn up, we talk about it. We sort of technical problems. It takes a bit of time, but it's nothing like editing, writing scripts. Hopping on Twitch for 6 hours a day. That's like a full-time thing, and like I don't think it's as luxurious as a lot of people think it is. Like it's really difficult, like really time-consuming. I don't know, and plus it's kind of like that thing. Like don't. Like working in your hobby is bound to like drain you of life a little bit. There's going to be times where you wish you could do nothing but play a video game. But like if I don't know, I think it would really drain me a bit if I worked in the industry and then wanted to play games. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I agree. I mean, there's no denying that a lot of work, a lot of effort does go into Twitch streaming, and some people have to put on these eccentric personalities for long periods of time because when they're on camera, that's not who they are. Like, I mean, it is to an extent, but it will always be slightly exaggerated. It's not them off camera and just hanging out and stuff like that. Everyone is slightly different when they go live or whatever, and it can be pretty exhausting to do that every single day, 6 hours a day, like you said. But it doesn't change the fact that there is still a insane amount of money. Like these people as exhausting as that might be for a job, there is so much money in all this sort of stuff. Like, it's crazy when you figure out how much some of these Twitch streamers earn. And I think this lady here is not only a Twitch streamer, she does like OnlyFans and all that sort of stuff. Mate, like, she's earning hundreds of
She's a
millions.
millionaire.
Like, she is earning tens of millions. It's crazy.
Yeah.
So, but regardless, yeah, it sounds pretty grim.
Yeah, no, that is definitely grim. I think that those sorts of like roles put you in a real vulnerable position. I think sometimes as well, because you're like always home. You know, you're a big earner. You know, and you have like a very tight content schedule that you kind of need to keep on top of. And you know, like appearances as well. You know, it's like why celebrities have so much PR management, because it doesn't, like, you have to essentially as part of your job wear a different face. Yeah, that's exhausting.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 10 million a month. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah, it's crazy the amount of money in it. But regardless, how much money in it and corruption, all that sort of stuff, you know, the fact that she's married to someone like this, it'd be interesting to see if like the sort of her success and her career is what sort of changed the marriage. You know, like maybe I don't know how long they've been married for, but this sort of thing can have an effect on just how a relationship works and stuff like that, right? So yeah, for sure. But
yeah, well, hopefully she
the
gets the support that she needs. No, like no amount of money is gonna, you know, you can't put a price on safety. So hope she gets the support she needs. But yeah, I will. No, I'm not going to go through that now. Where we've got stuff to go through.
Yeah, we've got quite a packed episode.
That's fine. Yeah, we do. That's fine. Okay. So Minecraft Live was what's happening next. I just very briefly, they showed off a number of things, particularly and pertinently to Xbox. Really, was they showed off like a gameplay slice, like 10 minutes of gameplay for Minecraft Legends, and gave a launch date of spring 2023. Obviously, it's Game Pass. Again, I like. There was not a single mention of Xbox through the whole thing. They didn't even have Game Pass on the logo at the end.
Really?
I don't think, or like an Xbox splash screen or anything. I remember I was watching it while I was cooking, so maybe I missed it, but I was really expecting it to be the old the Xbox splash screen.
Yeah.
But no, there's not. But like it looked quite good actually. It was nice to see like the game in action and like what like kind of the loop is here. And I think it looks pretty good. I think it looks interesting. So we'll see. We'll see if I think Dungeons has had quite a lot of success. They're still going with that. You know, they showed off the next season and everything. So clearly a market for like different Minecraft games here. So
yeah, I think there's a market for kind of anything Minecraft related. It's still just that big, right? So yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, seems cool. I haven't actually watched it, but you know, it's not really on my radar. But it is so weird that Xbox just seem to just. They don't want to affiliate themselves with Minecraft. It's weird. It's almost like they think they might scare some people off. Everyone's like, oh my god, it's become exclusive. So weird.
I don't know. It is weird, and it's like, yeah, I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know why they don't leverage it. Like I've always said that. I mean, now it's probably for the best that they didn't, given the whole thing going on with the CMA.
Yeah.
But like they can at least leverage it in terms of marketing, like just letting people know, hey, this is an Xbox property. So, you know,
exactly.
if you're a mega fan, you should probably be here to play it, you know, Game Pass, etc., etc. So, you know, whatever. And then the last honorable mention for today was, I think this was just yesterday, the voice actress for Bayonetta essentially asked the community to boycott Bayonetta 3, which comes out like next week, doesn't it? Or something like that. It comes out this month, I think.
Yeah.
And the reason for this is that she didn't voice Bayonetta in 3. She'd done it for all the other games. I think 1 and 2. I don't know if there's been any spin-offs or anything. because she was only offered $4,000 to do the work, which is pretty feeble for that much
seems
work. I
very
mean,
low.
I can't help but think there is like we don't know the whole story, but like yeah, I mean that sounds very low. Like I don't know. Like I'm assuming this is a game where there's quite a lot of voice lines. It seems like a really low amount of money. And I think I saw something else about someone else getting paid very little for another Nintendo game as well. But yeah, like that's crazy to me. We've heard about pretty bad pay and bad conditions in voice work before. But this is the first time. Like she broke an NDA. Like she broke an NDA to say that like this is how much they offered me before. Boycott it because this is like an absolute piss take.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it seems extremely low because I mean, as far as I'm aware, Bayonetta is, you know, similar to things like Devil May Cry and everything. And I've seen the first two Bayonettas get played, and there are cutscenes with her talking and, you know, and all that sort of stuff. Not to mention just all the in-game voice lines as well. So I imagine there's a fair amount of talking, especially for a main protagonist in the game as well. And a successful franchise. You know, Bayonetta sells very well, very highly. And there's 3 of them now. You know, it's quite a big franchise now. And yeah, that seems ridiculously low for what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. Just yeah, just kind of weird to me. You know, like if you consider the like you said the overall success of Bayonetta, like Bayonetta as a protagonist has got to be like in the top 20, top 30 most recognizable gaming like icons.
Yeah,
right.
She's up there.
Top 5 for female icons. Like you know, so it's just kind of crazy to me. Like I feel like it's hyper insulting, and she said that as well. I think she's an English voice actor, but yeah, she was like it just was super insulting because she's very very qualified, and obviously she's done the other work. And she said she wasn't asking for the world; she just wanted like a livable wage, and you know this essentially translates to like what £5,500, something like that for the whole game. Like that probably took 6 months or maybe more to record. Like that's not that much for such a successful IP. So.
Very low.
Silly shit. Well, I won't be buying Bayonetta anyway, because I don't want to play that sort of game on my Switch. So consider me part of the boycott.
Yeah, me too.
We're in the movement. All right. That is all of the honorable mentions for this week. We have a handful of good old main stories, and you're not going to believe what one of them is. It's about Activision Blizzard.
Great.
Yay.
Great. Yeah, I wonder what it's about. I wonder if it's about Call of Duty and if it's about Call of Duty.
I wonder. Who knows? It's a weekly thing. This is a weekly carousel. Every week, I want to get off this ride. Yeah, I don't want it to keep going.
I'll throw it up everywhere at this point. I just want off. Get me off.
Before we get into this, Tim, I've got a question for you.
No.
Yes. Do you like fish, don't you?
What do you mean? Pet fish? Eating fish?
Pet fish. What do you mean? Do you like the personalities of fish?
Some people love having pet fish.
I know, it's just weird to me that was like that was even like considered. That's what I was asking of you.
So you're talking about the consumption of fish.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I like fish. Yeah, sure.
Interesting. Are you meant to eat the skin of fish? I never know this answer, and I feel like I get different answers from people. Yeah, but are you meant to? I know it won't kill me.
There's absolutely nothing wrong with eating the skin of fish. It's completely your preference. I don't eat salmon skin unless it's like quite nicely crispy, but I tend to leave like salmon skin for like fillets and cod skin and stuff like that. But it's completely just preference. You can eat it. Nothing will happen.
Is it like eating the skin of a fruit? like eating lemon skin?
No, it's like eating
guess
the
just like
skin
that,
off
right?
chicken. It's like people are just like, do you eat chicken skin? It's just like, well, it's fattening, but it's also
Who
tasty.
doesn't eat chicken skin?
Lots of people take off the skin off chicken and just eat chicken, like roast chicken. They take it off.
Nah, I don't know. I feel like we're
Lots
talking
of
about.
people do it.
I mean, yeah, but I think in the grand scheme of things, I think chicken skin is like it's part of the chicken, whereas I
So
think
it's fish skin.
fish skin
It's not man-made.
is not
It's
part
not
of the
put
fish
on.
meal.
It's not someone putting on fucking scales on a fish. Someone
You
doesn't
slap
have
it on
yeah.
afterwards.
People aren't just slipping little onesie suits on all the naked fish in the ocean.
No, but I think if we had like at least 50 people here in the chat right now, I'd love to get like a live poll on this because I feel like it's not normal. You would agree it's not normal to eat the skin of fish, but it's normal to eat the skin of chicken. No?
I guess if you're comparing the two, it's more normal to eat the skin of chicken, yes. But I've met an equal amount of people in my life that eat skin off fish and don't eat skin off fish. It's not abnormal.
Why are you surrounded by psychopaths?
I don't look at them like, yo, why are you eating that salmon skin, man? You're a fucking weirdo. Like that's not weird to me. And if we had a lovely little dinner and you ate some fish skin, I wouldn't fucking gaslight you for it. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't even notice.
I feel like there's some fish skin that you're just not meant to eat. By the way, I had fish yesterday, if it wasn't obvious.
Yeah, well, it didn't spawn out of nowhere, did it? Clearly a deep-seated issue.
Yeah. Well.
What fish was it?
Did you eat fish skin? It was cod.
Cod? Yeah, you can eat fish skin. Dude, fish and chips, battered cod, it comes with skin. You cut it, and there's skin on that fish in a fish and chip shop.
Most people like just peel it off with their fork.
No, they don't. People just eat. Nobody does that.
Oh, when you're talking about like when it's battered?
Yeah.
Like the whole thing is battered?
Yeah, there's that fish has skin on it.
Yeah.
People eat fish skin.
I guess that's different. I guess that's different from like baked or like cooked or whatever. Roasted. Fried.
Raw and wriggling.
Raw and wriggling.
That was really good. I like that.
Thank you.
Well done. You should have voice acted Gollum, mate. That's 4,000 in the bank. Easy.
Easy peasy, at least. With all my experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just weird stuff. It was good though. I had a nice dinner. Because I'm by myself at the moment. I'm at home, so I did the whole thing.
Oh, good.
Got some potatoes.
I saw you eat the fish skin. Thank God.
Yeah, I know. I didn't actually. I didn't. I was an idiot, and I cooked it on foil instead of baking paper, and so the skin literally just fell. Like it's still stuck to the foil in my bin. Like
nice.
It's seared to it. Yeah. So, that was why I was asking, because I was like, should I have had that? I'm not going to go around in circles here.
Foil. No.
Yeah, that's right. All right. Game Pass numbers.
Yeah.
We have Game Pass numbers.
Fantastic.
It's been years.
Haven't we?
No. No, we did. You're right. We did. We had them from Phil in like 2019 or something. We haven't yet, and that was like 18 million or something. Someone will have to correct me, but it was something like that. Because we thought Strauss Zelnick, who's the CEO of Take-Two, leaked a higher number, but he didn't. He just made a mistake. And so they haven't revealed any more numbers in a long time, which would suggest to me that the growth has slowed. But as part of Brazil's approval of the ABK deal, we got a little bit of insight here. Sort of. And that insight was that Game Pass subscription revenues made 2.9 billion in 2021. 3 billion, essentially, representing 18% of total Xbox earnings for the year. I saw a lot of positive sentiment generally about this. That's for a service that's still kind of in growth mode, for a service that hasn't really hit its stride yet in terms of first-party releases.
Yeah,
that's on a good trajectory, it seems like. It's on the lower end. I feel like when I'm looking at the numbers, what do I know? Considering Game Pass is like or it's what Xbox seems to be pushing as kind of the dominant focus of their service right now.
Yeah.
18% is quite a low number, but yeah, still in growth mode, not in its full stride yet. Thoughts?
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in agreement with you. I think it's a respectable number. It's 1/5 of total profits. And I'm assuming we're including hardware and all this as well. It's not just software; it's just everything Xbox, right? Just all Xbox
I imagine
profits.
it is.
So
Yeah,
it's
hardware will be its own.
Exactly, yeah. So 1/5 of everything Xbox is pretty good. It's a large chunk. And like you said, it still hasn't hit its full stride. 2023 is when this shit's really going to kick off, I think. And anyone who isn't subscribed to it is going to subscribe to it for these exclusives coming out next year, I think. And they'll probably remain as well, because I think Xbox will just, once they hit that stride, I think they'll just keep up a pretty steady cadence of first buy releases. I think they've been holding a pretty large hand for a while now, while they're all just getting developed and made. So yeah, I can definitely see this shooting up. Yeah, I'm not upset with this number or scared by this number at all. I think it's good.
Yeah, it's good. It's clearly on the right path here. I think generally the consensus, I think, is that Game Pass remains the best subscription, in the service in the industry right now. PS Plus does a good job of doing what it's doing. Nintendo's subscription services, like, kind of, it's fine, so I guess. But Game Pass is kind of, it's available everywhere. There's day and date games. There's day one games, whether that's first party or third party, and really nobody else is doing that right now other than Stray for PS Plus, I believe. So yeah, I mean, they're clearly ahead on the content front for that, but just not first party stuff. So
Indeed.
Segueing off this to the and into the rest of the ABK news for the week.
I'm gonna go to the toilet. Can you do the segment alone?
No, man.
Let's do it.
Okay, I actually, before I go into it, I don't know why this suddenly came to my head, but I just really quickly wanted to shout it out. I can't remember the name of the guy, but we spoke about this a couple of months ago about the original creator of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
Who drowned, like in a snorkeling accident or something like that.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, we spoke about that. But it was recently revealed that he died trying to save 2 kids.
Oh, what a legend.
In the report. So, I mean,
kudos to him, man. Hopefully someone... No, actually, I was going to...
You're going to try and make a Yu-Gi-Oh! Card joke, weren't you?
Yeah, I was. Should I? Or is it too soon?
It went through my head.
I'm going to do it.
Okay.
I was going to say, hopefully someone uses a Monster Reborn on him.
I was going to fucking say that as well.
Are you going to say the same thing? Damn.
Yeah, except I refrained.
He would have wanted us to say that.
You're probably right. He probably would have done.
Yeah. But no, that's cool. I mean,
what a guy. Cool. What a fucking guy.
But yeah, what a guy, man. What a guy.
What a guy. What a guy. All right. Yeah. Okay. So here we go. Buckle up, everybody. This is it. Oh.
Yeah. Whenever I see ABK, the abbreviated thing, it just makes me think of a Burger King.
Just one.
It just makes me think of Burger King. I don't know. It makes me sad.
Really?
I'd rather we were talking about Burger King, if I'm honest.
I don't know if I would, because my experience with Burger King, as you know, has been in the shitter for 6 months
dude,
now.
So is mine. We went to a Burger King a couple times now when we went to a cinema, me and my partner. And they're shocking. They're really bad. I don't know, man. I used to love Burger King, but shit's so dry. I actually got a burger and I was eating it, and the bun was so dry, it was crumbling in my hands. I was like, this is so dry, and I had to add ketchup to the burger that already had ketchup, just so it could fucking slide down my gullet.
Yeah, I don't know. All of their quality control has just gone out the window, and the thing is, they're more expensive than most of the other fast food places. At least here in the UK, you know, they try and place themselves as a premium burger fast food place. Yeah, and their shit just sucks.
Yeah.
They don't like. I don't want to get started on the fucking times I've had to wait hours to 11:30 nighttime. And then I call them and they're like, "We're closed. I'm locking up right now." And I'm like, "What do you mean? I ordered a burger. Where is it?" And they're like, "Oh, sorry. Look, what do you mean? I paid you money. Where's the driver?" Peeking out my blind. He's like, "Is he here? He's not here. Give me a refund and then some with interest."
Oh, actually, and that reminds me as well. I might as well tell the story of me ordering a Series S from Amazon and getting sent a SodaStream machine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that happened to me.
Yeah.
Like a £50 SodaStream
good.
machine was sent to me from Amazon instead of a Series S that I bought in the Prime Day sale. So all they've offered me is a full refund, but I'm going to go back to them today or tomorrow, and I'm basically just going to say like, because they're selling new ones for $250 now, so it's just like, can I just give me one of those for that Prime Day sale? You're not out of stock. I ordered one. You didn't fulfill my order. I want this for £200, or I'm just going to spend my £200 and buy it somewhere else. Like, I'm going to do it, man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get it one.
Yeah, no, you do it. You stick it to the man, and like it's such a weird mistake to make.
Yeah.
To do it like I don't know if the boxes are like the same shape.
Yeah, it's almost like they packaged it all up, and like the final step is slapping on the delivery label. Like that's the final manufacturing process. They're just like, this one goes to this address, this one goes to this address, and they just like, maybe someone out there just got a Series S when they ordered a SodaStream machine. They literally might have just got the address labels mixed up. Yeah. He's fucking laughing if he did. He's got a £50 fucking Series S.
That happened to me when I was younger, not with the Series S, but with like a really good headset. Do you remember that headset?
I do, yeah, I remember.
Call of Duty one.
Yeah, the Call of Duty Black Ops 2 one, yeah.
Yeah, and because I ordered a headset and got sent that headset and a separate one, which was like, the really high end one at the time for the 360. It was like, it had one of the receivers and it was, I held on to it for a couple of days, like just in case I got an email from anyone. And then a week went by and I was like, this is mine now.
This is legally mine.
Yeah, I'm so I guess somebody had to pay the price, and unfortunately, it was you. By association, you've been punished by karma. Sorry.
I hate it.
All right. Well, I hope you have a really good time with that SodaStream.
I'm not.
If they don't want it back, I'll take it.
No,
Send it my way.
Picking up on Monday.
Do you know what? Maybe you should just give them like a different box.
Yeah.
Fuck with them.
Yeah, I'll just
like, just put in like a light bulb.
Yeah, I'll just they just open it up. There's a turd in there.
Oh, how did that get in there?
Yeah.
Weird.
Whoops.
Yeah, it's not nice, is it? When somebody doesn't send you what they promised they're going to send you. Dickheads.
So yeah, that happened to me. Anyway, on to the story. We've delayed enough.
Okay, fine. All right, here we go. So, there's a Microsoft has replied to the CMA, and then the CMA have replied to Microsoft, and we got a whole bunch of different things to come out of this. So, and I've made some nice bullet points here. I feel, if like this is one of those times where it might be useful to just have my bullet points here on screen.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. You want me to do it?
Can you do that? Yeah, sure. Let's just give it a go.
Okay.
We're toying with the idea of having.
Oh
notes,
wait, no, hang on, no, the cams are off.
No.
Yeah. If for some reason the cams have reset, as in like the little boxes, because I've got smaller ones that I have mine and your faces in, and it should auto
okay, that's fine.
but it hasn't. Like I'm not there, and I don't know why.
It.
But yeah.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. We'll leave it for today. All right then. Well, I'm going to try and find a couple of quotes, but there's a handful of very funny things going on here. With, for example, PlayStation being very suddenly concerned about the anti-competitive aspects of exclusivity. as every week, it's about Call of Duty, and they're like, oh, well, even if, they don't make it exclusive, like they said they would, because I don't know why we're still arguing in hypotheticals when Xbox have said they're going to keep it multi-plat.
Yeah.
They'd be like, oh, yeah, well, even if they don't, they could still make some parts of the content exclusive or have marketing rights. And that would pull so many people away. And it's like...
This made me so angry.
Yeah, I said this to you midweek, didn't I?
Yeah, literally the first thing I said was I was just like, what the fuck? They've been doing this for like 10 years. Like, they've been doing this for so long, this exact thing. Like, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, you've literally cut content from Xbox players in previous Call of Duty titles. It's only locked to PlayStation. Like, what?
And I guess... But that's the annoying thing, because it's like, yes, of course, those sorts of things are going to have a pull for consoles. Like, people are, yeah, that's going to affect people's buying decisions. But is it anti-competitive? Are you really making the point that your own practices are anti-competitive? Because if we're not arguing that it's anti-competitive, then what are we doing here? We're just flinging shit. We're just literally flinging shit.
Yeah.
Like, it's not... Isn't the whole point of this to determine if it's going to be good overall or bad overall for customers?
Yeah.
And if we're really going to pull out the dirty laundry and say, oh, well, having marketing rights and making some game modes exclusive is going to... Yeah, we know.
Yeah.
You've been doing it for years.
Yeah, exactly. God, it made me so mad.
It's just annoying, man. It's like just fucking hypocritical.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's exactly what it is. It's just fucking annoying.
The other side of this is that Xbox are, of course, trying to make themselves look weak, and company's going to company. Also, kind of annoying. Like, we're 7th place. Oh, we're so helpless, and it's like, they're both going to say the things they need to say, but at the very least, they're not being hypocritical. Xbox also said that they've offered PlayStation Game Pass, and PlayStation have decided to block Game Pass. We're like, obviously, this is not a viable decision for them, but Xbox have used that as a counter argument of like, well, they could have access to all these games and all the benefits, but they're choosing not to.
Yeah.
Which is like, you go around in circles on that for ages, because there's a lot to consider. Like, that would change everything. Like. If Xbox managed to get Game Pass on their competitors, PlayStation and even Nintendo, that would change everything. Xbox would mostly be a publisher at that point that happened to make consoles rather than a console platform that, that's a subscription service. So, yeah, I mean, that's not really entirely surprising. As part of Xbox sort of trying to express their vulnerability, they said that in 2021, PlayStation had 5 times more first and third party exclusive than Xbox. But they said that themselves, which I think is a bit weird. I don't know what games they're pointing to. 5 times more in 2021? Did they? These like tiny indie games that I don't know about?
Maybe. I mean, what year did Horizon and God of War and Spider-Man were all 2020, weren't they? Or 2019.
Horizon was 2021. God of War was 2018.
Oh yeah, true.
Spider-Man
was also 2018.
I want to say, yeah, Spider-Man was 2018 as well. So Xbox had a good first party showing in 2021. Yeah, it was technically Deathloop, Psychonauts, Age of Empires, Flight Sim, Halo, Forza. I can't remember what PlayStation had that year, but it must have been a lot of third party indie stuff that they're calculating in this. In which case, it's like, I mean, it looks good for the argument, but it's like nobody really thinks that PlayStation was 5 times better than Xbox in 2021.
No,
so
yeah.
And no, this is where things get a bit fucking slippery, like a wet fish without the skin, right? So Xbox made the point last time we spoke about this. They said, look at Nintendo. They're doing just fine without Call of Duty. Not only are they doing fine, they're literally dominating the industry, And CMA has like they said, they were like, we disagree. They said, we disagree. Nintendo does fine without COD because it targets a family-friendly demographic, and therefore it doesn't matter. Point is valid. Point is mute. What
No.
the fuck sort of point is that?
Doesn't make
What
any
the fuck
sense.
sort of point is that?
What Nintendo have adjusted the way that they sell games and make games, so the point's invalid. That makes absolutely no sense.
Makes no sense.
It's
Makes no sense.
stupid. It's the
It's
stupidest
illogical.
thing I've ever seen.
And,
What?
yeah, and I've said some pretty stupid stuff, so that's quite impressive.
Yeah.
That the CMA has overtaken, like, has done laps around me. Like, how fucking illogical is that? Like, it's because Nintendo have so many units out in the wild. So I don't have the figure to like top of my head, but let's just say it's like what we at, probably like 80 mil. I don't know the fucking numbers. Let's just say it is. They're not all kids under the age of 12. Half of them, at least, are adults.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah.
So let's run the simulations. Let's do it. How many of them would buy Call of Duty if Call of Duty became accessible on Switch? You think it'd be zero? You think it'd be zero? No. It'd be millions. They'd make millions.
Yeah.
It'd probably sell more on Switch, like assuming it played well and everything. It'd probably sell more on Switch in a couple of years anyway. Once it's become like a normal thing on that console, than it would on other consoles because they have such a big install base, and that install base is not held, I don't believe, by the majority of like being children. I think the majority of people who own Switches are adults.
Agreed. Yeah.
Barring that, Tim, the Switch has more hentai games than almost any other platform. Thanks, Joaquin. It has Doom on it. It has Apex on it. They ported Apex over.
Yeah.
Former devs of Call of Duty. Competitive shooter. Bayonetta 3 is about to come out. Isn't that about like a sexy demon witch thing?
Yeah. Yep. Well, they definitely don't.
She's a secretary?
Yeah, it's weird. It's almost like the CMA were literally just like, they just looked at Nintendo from such a stereotypical standpoint. They're just like, Nintendo Pokemon Mario. So different. Argument invalid. It's like, well, no.
Yeah.
Let's dig a little bit deeper, shall we? Let's not dig with a teaspoon. Fucking
Yeah.
yeah, it's so stupid.
That's a good one. I like that. That's a good expression.
Thanks, man. Came off that. It's top of my head.
Look at the teaspoon. I like it. Yeah, it's good. That's very creative. Yeah, it's so like it's just bizarre. Like it's such a bizarre. I like, and that's the thing. Like at some point, Microsoft's going to respond to one of these and be like, "What the fuck are you talking about? What the fuck are you talking? Why are you lying?"
Yeah.
Why are you lying?
Oh, they are. Right? They're building that answer right now. They're like drafting it and it's getting sent through the office. Shit's gonna get fucking posted soon.
So strange to me. So not only is that like, I'm not going to call it a lie. Let's call it misinformed. This is something else they said. They said that they've noted Xbox's like history in acquisitions, and you know that's the precedent. And let's see what they've done. Oh, they've acquired Ninja Theory, and they've announced Hellblade 2 is going to be exclusive. They've acquired, you know, In Exile. And you know, and they literally refer to these things in project names that we've only gotten from like Jez Corden over at Windows Central. And they're like, Project Cobalt, that is probably going to be exclusive.
Yeah,
but, you know, and they like looked at all these games, and they were like, and then they, you know, at the end they were like, oh yeah, but there was Double Fine who released Psychonauts 2. That was multi-platform. They didn't they paid a very, very small mention to Minecraft, just a tiny thing. Just one of the biggest IPs on the fucking planet that they've kept multi-plat.
Yeah.
And it's just so weird to me, like digging with a teaspoon, am I right? You know, like, like they're looking at games that haven't even been officially announced yet, and they're like, it's gonna be exclusive.
Yeah.
And they're like, they spoke about Bleeding Edge, for fuck's sake. They're like, Bleeding Edge was exclusive. It's like, what? Like, come the fuck on. This is not a comparison.
Yeah, man. It's ridiculous. They're literally just manipulating the argument for their sake, and just ignoring blatant points and counter arguments, which is just such a risky move because like anyone with a brain is going to come back and just be like, well, like we're doing right now, you just missed this. What about this? What about this? You're only pointing out things that are benefiting your argument when there is so much more that outweighs the other side. It's so weird to go public with these sort of things. And the amount of backlash it's probably going to get. I don't know, man. It's just so weird. Yeah, like the whole Minecraft thing. Like, God, we were just talking about how Xbox just seemed to just not want to associate themselves with it. In the fear that they want people to know that Minecraft will always be multiplat, you know.
Like a standalone, yeah.
Yeah, but they're just ignoring that fact and Minecraft is fucking insanely big. Like, what?
Yeah.
Like they're essentially they've told PlayStation they're essentially going to do a similar thing with COD. Like as to that, but why is that not being brought up? I just don't fucking. That's why I don't like talking about it.
Because like they even said it. They even said in the documents they're like, "Oh, Xbox like promised to keep Bethesda games multi-platform, but have announced that Starfield is going to be exclusive." And they said, judging by their public comments, big previously multi-platform titles like Elder Scrolls. I was like, do you know more than we know? Like we've spoken about the possibility of that happening, but there's been no such like confirmation, and there was no such promise. Like Xbox has not said, like nobody has got like on the record said Bethesda games aren't going to be multi-platform. That's literally made up. That is just made up.
But you can see a trend because they have done it with Starfield. And again, Elder Scrolls is rumored. That's not actually confirmed yet, is it? Or is it confirmed?
No, Elder Scrolls isn't confirmed.
No, it's not.
Yeah. We spoke about it on a previous episode where Phil has said like, oh, we want to bring value to like Game Pass and the platform, you know, in like vague terms, like, oh, maybe. But like that's something like it like the CMA are trying to make the argument that games that have like a history being multi-plat, Xbox are making exclusive.
Yeah.
And that no such history, like that, there isn't a trend for that yet. I don't believe. I mean, maybe you could make the argument with Hellblade 2, but like we haven't seen Wolfenstein 3, we haven't seen Elder Scrolls, you know, a Fallout. Like Starfield is obviously new IP, Redfall is new IP, so those don't really apply.
Yeah.
And the other things aren't officially confirmed yet. It's just speculation. It's just conjecture.
Yeah. I mean, they're still
so that's what's weird to me, like how far they're reaching.
Yeah. Half of them don't even have a fucking full actual like IP yet. They're just project names, and they're like, "Well, it's probably going to be exclusive." It's just like, what?
Yeah.
What kind of argument is it? It's so paper thin. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I suppose I do want to like apply a little bit of context here because it's not like it's been pointed out to me on Twitter, particularly by one of our followers, I suppose, Nerd Propellant, that you know this is the first phase of the investigation, and for this phase, they're looking for reasons why this could be damaging to competition. In the second phase, they're going to be looking for reasons why this could be healthy for competition. So we expect that to come afterwards. And you know, some of the like people shouldn't be outraged just because the CMA are looking for these reasons. That isn't why the reason we're annoyed is because there are inaccurate things being said here.
Yeah.
There are either inaccurate things or speculative statements being made, or hypocritical statements being made when the concern is about a future change for Xbox that competitors are already doing, you know, like exclusivity, etc., etc.
Yeah.
So, and one of the other things, as a result, that the CMA kind of focused on, or they replied to Xbox with, because Xbox made the argument, you know, PlayStation have lots of exclusive IP. For example, Spider-Man is a really big one. And they said that Spider-Man doesn't come close to COD's level of success, and therefore it doesn't count.
Okay.
Spider-Man's a bigger IP than Call of Duty.
Yeah. The Spider-Man as a whole, yeah, of course, yeah. Not Spider-Man just on PlayStation 4, yeah, not on PlayStation, but as a whole,
well,
the character,
yeah,
he's bigger, yeah, he's bigger than Call of Duty, yeah.
So yeah, like obviously it doesn't compete in game revenue because Call of Duty is on multiple platforms. It's had a history of games, but Spider-Man has it's more recognizable than Call of Duty.
Yeah.
It has an arguably bigger pull. So I just like this. It doesn't come close to COD's level of success. Bullshit.
Yeah.
It pulls people to the ecosystem. Like COD isn't going to pull the same amount of people into PlayStation that Spider-Man does. And yes, it's like that's a result of a different level of integration. But Spider-Man, like in the sense that Sony owns, the film character and is using that as leverage with Marvel Studios. Essentially, it's not the same as an acquiring, but it's still a form of integration. It's still something which has so much pull, and I just find it kind of shocking that that's just brushed off like, no, it's not the same, not the same level, not the same scale.
Yeah,
like that's a big deal. Like Spider-Man has a history on all other platforms. When Activision used to make them, we used to play on 360, didn't we? Me and you, like Amazing Spider-Man. It's exclusive now.
Yeah.
So
no, it's I completely agree, and I mean it's just such a big, like you said, IP. Like the character is ridiculous. Like think how much money these movies pull in. Like the MCU, the latest Spider-Man movie, all that sort of shit. They put in so much money. They put in so many people watch it and have watched it. Like anyone who wants to live that Spider-Man fantasy, anyone who wants to do anything Spider-Man or play a game, they have to go to Sony for that. And it's just like, it's massive. It is really, really big.
Yeah. Like, let's not forget that like Wolverine is coming up as well. I wouldn't be surprised to see a couple of other Marvel games come in there over the next 5-10 years.
Yeah.
That's creeping into MCU territory. MCU is currently one of the highest like grossing, things out there.
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, if Timber was still here, I'm sure he could tell me all about the precise number of where the MCU's at in terms of profitable franchises. But like I said, then I just is it anti-competitive? Probably not. Like it's very powerful, but it's not anti-competitive. But that's exactly what I'm expecting to see, that sort of reciprocation with Call of Duty. Like, it's not anti-competitive. It's very big, like clearly, but all of these things are, and there doesn't seem to be equal weight given to these different properties, and that's what, or a fair consideration, I guess I should say, to the different properties, and then that's what I think has got people a bit annoyed about some of these statements that are being made.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it just comes down to the fact that we said it right from the beginning. For some reason, Sony just see Call of Duty as the be-all, end-all. Like, without this, or even just like we still have it, but we don't have the exclusivity that we currently have that pulls people in. It's just like our platform will suffer, wither, and die, and it's just like realistically, fuck off. Like that's not going to happen. Like what is going on here? And I mean that's been since this deal was first announced. That's just what they've been preaching, and they still are. And it's a joke. In all honesty, I really absolutely disagree.
Yeah. So I mean, the second phase of this investigation better be fucking thorough.
Yeah. Like
truly, because like this seems like it's either been a totally ignorant investigation. Like there are some points here and there. There are some points here and there which is like, yeah, okay, fair enough. But then there are some which are just either incorrect, like made up, like totally in the defense of the market leader that's already using the strategies that they're worried about Microsoft now using. Like, and that, like, you better make a good case on the other side of this, or like there's going to be some problems, because I looked through the CMA. Yeah, I looked through it really does sound like, I hate to go into like conspiracy territory, because almost all the time this stuff is explained by just ignorance or incompetence, inability. But it almost sounds like there's some money being slipped in palms here, like, oh look, I can't believe a Mercedes just turned up at Jim Ryan's house. That's so weird. Like, oh, a yacht just appeared. What the fuck? Wow.
Yeah, it's
vice
super
versa,
weird, because there are just so many like blatantly big points that just seem to be getting brushed over or completely ignored, and it's just very weird. It is very weird. It seems kind of sus. Like, I've got my Among Us suit on right now. I'm pretty sus. Pretty sus of PlayStation. I'm about to slam that button.
Yeah, call for a group meeting and a gamer meeting.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So this is I can see 3 Mile Island has just popped up in the chat. Hello, thanks for joining. We'll get to your question in a sec. I'm just going to finish off this topic, or my brain is going to like dribble out my ears. So bear with me. So the final thing is that, and I think this is like I said, it's the closing statement for the phase 1 before they go into phase 2. And what they said was, to summarize in a paraphrasing, etc., quote, the CMA found that given the importance of Call of Duty to Sony PlayStation and the existence of strong direct and indirect network effects, any foreclosure strategy, so they mean like exclusivity strategy, essentially, any foreclosure strategy could have a significant impact on Sony's revenue and user base. The impact of any foreclosure strategy on Sony may be particularly strong at the launch of the next generation of consoles, when both new and existing users decide which console to buy. CMA found, therefore, that a material impact on Sony's ability to compete would have a detrimental impact on overall competition in the market and ultimately harm consumers, for example, through higher prices, reduced quality, or reduced innovation in games and gaming consoles. And I've got a tweet out there, Tim. I've got a retweet which is popping off right now. People, I was doing numbers. Nice. I'm sitting here in my sweatpants, with crumbs in my chest hair. My tweets are doing numbers.
Nice.
And what I said, essentially, it's at the bottom of the notes of this topic. But I said, the CMA essentially said Microsoft could harm consumers through higher prices, reduce quality, reduce innovation. Meanwhile, the competition that the CMA seems so desperate to defend are saying are literally raising prices of their consoles, literally raising prices of their games, charging extra for upgrades that nobody else in the market is currently doing. And they're reducing their own innovation with multiple remakes, multiple director's cuts, diverting resources to remakes, remasters, and director's cuts. Yeah. These things are already happening, and they're not happening with Xbox. So, like I said, it's the first phase. We'll wait till the second phase. But by God, it better be a good consideration, because right now the CMA are finding that, this is going to harm consumers, which is such a load of shit. It's so not going to harm your everyday consumer.
No,
but whatever.
Yeah, and it's such a good point you raised. I'm not surprised that your retweet is popping off. Because Sony have been first to raise hardware prices, and they've been the first to basically just lock in £70 games, most of which are just single player games as well. They've been the first to adopt this. In the next generation, and yeah, I mean, in terms of being innovative, like you said, the amount of fucking remakes and director's cuts we're seeing is insane. It's just like, I don't know, man.
Full price.
And they're full price. They're coming in at £70.
Not in the subscription service.
Yeah, not yeah. It's mental. Yeah, it's fucking crazy. So
we'll see. Well, on to next week, I guess, for the next thing. All right, so let's come around to this question in the chat then. So 3 Mile Island says, hi guys, for 67.8 billion, how many third-party AAA games do you think Microsoft could buy to put into Game Pass? At 100 million per game, I calculate 678 AAA games for Game Pass. That sounds good.
What?
Does sound good. Yeah, we could have all of them. Well, how many? Going by those numbers, how many? Hang on. I guess if we had monthly AAA games for a year, God, this is a long time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 260, 720. For 12 years, about 11 or 12 years running, we could have a monthly AAA game into Game Pass. Yeah, third party. Yeah.
But why are we assuming there are 100 million per game? It's just an estimation of how much a brand new AAA would cost. Yeah. On average.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, this is, and I keep saying this, but the reason a lot of the Xbox community is really defensive about the proposition of Game Passes because it like directly impacts your value.
Yeah.
You know, like I don't necessarily need an exclusive. Like I understand that like it does help generate like my perception of the value of the thing that I've bought. But when things like Plague Tale Requiem, Scorn, Dark Tide, all of these like big games dropping into Game Pass day one, that like directly, I would have bought some of those games. I'm saving money,
Yeah.
so like it's important. So ultimately, yeah, the investment is what matters. If Xbox feel they need to spend that money on acquisitions, I suppose, to nurture some of the studios and get better results, then that's fine too. But yeah, like I'm also fine with 678 AAA games in Game Pass as well.
Yeah, it's not bad. Yeah, kind of either side of the coin. It's not bad, is it?
Yeah,
I'd take either one, to be honest. Yeah. 678. Yeah, that is quite crazy to think about. Actually, the amount of money that could potentially sort of.
That's so much money.
Yeah, and what it could get you outside of Activision Blizzard, and it does make you think. It's just like, is it? What? Especially when you're going through all this fucking shit that Microsoft are going through as well right now. But I mean, yeah,
maybe instead of buying ABK, they should buy ABK. Just take over Burger King, the franchise, rework that shit, get it working again, get some good food out the door, get a free burger with your Xbox.
And you're done.
That's a good buy to me.
Yeah,
sorted, satisfied. And anyway, we're getting 678 games next year. Anyway, looking at the catalog and the schedule. Anyway, like such a crammed year. That's what's happening next year. Anyway, so I guess we'll be able to test run that. See how it goes.
Yeah.
All right. Next story. Here we go. Xbox Keystone. That was the rumored streaming stick mini console puck thing we've spoken about here on the show. You've probably heard about it if you're listening to an Xbox podcast. And then out of nowhere, for the Fallout 25th anniversary, Phil takes a screenshot of his shelf, and he's got the what's it called, the Pip Boy there.
Yeah.
Oh, Phil, you're so sneaky. At the top of the screen, there's like a little Kinect looking thing. It's like white. It looks like the top of a.
Oh yeah, I see it.
Like a slice of the Series S. Yeah. And everyone's like, "What's that, Phil? Phil, what's that little thing on the top of your shelf?" kind of sus, Phil.
Yeah, Philly.
Yeah. Man thinks he's slick, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does. He is.
He is, yeah, that's true.
Man is slick.
So I mean, it's generated a bit more speculation about this device, and especially with a lot of the cloud streaming devices that are now like hitting the market, whether it's Razer or Logitech. It's got this kind of renewed interest in cloud again. And people are like, oh, maybe this thing like would be good, depending on price. A lot of these portables are like 300, 400 quid or dollars, and I think a lot of people are in agreement that that's generally too much. However, a little dongle that you plug into your TV or any device with a, HDMI in, presumably, that would be useful for a lot of people as well, I think. So, supposedly that's what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
And Phil's just being a little coy boy.
It's just Xbox's Stadia.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. In its wake.
Yeah. I mean, it all comes down to price point, I think, like you said, for me. Especially someone, I've recently almost bought a Series S. So, this is something that I don't know how far off the horizon this is, but this is something that could sway me in a different direction to buying a Series S, for if I wanted a different console in a different house or something like that. So, especially if it's a much cheaper alternative. Definitely.
Yeah. And again, I think it's like really expanding that the sort of the platform portfolio, the hardware portfolio, to get people in at a cheaper price. right? You got the Series X, mega expensive. Well, yeah, reasonably expensive. You got the Series S, a bit cheaper. You got your streaming stick for like 100 quid. And if you just want to play games, like if you get something for your kid, like they're not gonna know. They can drive around or Forza or whatever it is. That is a really cheap way to get access to all of like so many titles, especially with Game Pass. Like that's really, really crazy value.
Yeah.
Which is clearly what they're trying to do. So we'll see. We've been speaking about this thing for like quite a while now, since like the start of the podcast. Thing has been rumored. So
could be quite
confirmation, I guess.
Could be shadow dropped. E3.
Yeah, maybe. It seems like an E3 announcement.
Yeah,
but we'll have to see. Having said that, Xbox have gotten quite good at like just talking about games at E3 nowadays. They tend to like stay away from hardware stuff. So maybe around summer, for sure, around the E3 time.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, you can now launch Xbox Cloud games directly from Bing, the best browser, may I add, and Microsoft Edge.
Sweet.
I won't retract any statements. Yeah.
What do you mean?
I'm coming out to 90k Microsoft rewards.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I could buy you
No,
with that amount of Microsoft points.
I'm worth more than that. What is that in monetary value?
You're on 90 quid.
You think I'm worth £90, Deck? That's so
maybe
disrespectful.
85.
I'm actually hurt that you think I'm worth £90.
But I don't set the
man.
prices. Look, this is up for negotiation. That's fine. I'm just saying that I think I've got a good. I could really make a good offer. If I throw in like a cheese string,
I mean, yeah,
maybe
I haven't had a cheese string for years, mate. So
I don't taste of anything.
No,
this is like nothing. They do peel pretty good though.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah. Straight from the browser. I mean, not an incredible amount to add here, but I think it's quite cool that you can somebody could just do that and then just boot straight in from there. Just a nice little addition. Get cool. That cloud streaming everywhere. It's in the air we breathe. Pour yourself a cup of coffee. You look into it. Oh, you can stream from there. You put your stuff in the oven. Oh, what's that? Oh, look, it's game Xbox Cloud in the oven.
That.
You go in your car. You turn your car on. Dashboard. It pops up. Play Cuphead.
Yeah. Crash. Die.
Play Xbox. You will plug your brain in to the servers. Play Xbox from the great beyond.
Yeah. Oh my god. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. Play Xbox from your cryo sleep. Come in.
Yeah.
Xbox cryo.
Maybe we're closer to Black Mirror than we think we are with this.
Yeah, dude.
This just feels like master plan to just make us all like.
I'm actually gonna
get us all in cryo sleep on a constant subscription.
I'm actually I'm a little bit afraid, so I'm actually gonna just verbally trademark the cryo sleep video game idea that I just came up with, just in case that ever comes back. Because you never know with the future, man, and this just shit's
comes
on
back.
YouTube. No, like it gets invented in the future, man.
Oh, I see. Right, okay.
And you never know. You don't know what the future's like. This is going to be up on YouTube. They can refer back to this. I can refer back to this.
Yeah.
If I'm still alive at the point of cryo gaming.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like Meta. It's on their 60th product reveal, and they're like introducing cryo gaming.
Yeah.
Oh, and then in tiny note to the bottom, revealed in episode 73 of the Quick Resume podcast, coined, popularized by Tim.
Yeah.
Of the Quick Resume podcast. Go you, man. This could be our moneymaker.
Exactly. Really when we're transferring to a new planet because we screwed this one up, and Xbox are like, hey, you don't want to just sleep during the transition.
Sleep. Yeah.
Why don't you play?
Give some money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why don't you play while you cryo sleep? Yeah. Get that gamer score ticking up.
Yeah. You've got Fallout 76. It's on its 6,000th update.
Yeah.
The year is 3032. Yeah. You can play that. Just make sure you leave your credit card on your little cryo sleep table.
Yeah.
And we'll Make sure you're
Yeah, we'll just
entertained.
walk by and contactless. Just
Yeah, we'll
get
just
you in.
boop you.
Done.
Yeah, I'm ready for that timeline.
It's gonna happen.
Fallout. That's a really good segue. The 25th anniversary, Tim. It's the 25th anniversary of Fallout. As I said about Phil doing his little picture of the shelf. People were hoping for like a remake announcement or really anything, and there was like a cute video that went up, and it had Brian Fargo, who's like the lead over at NXR, and it has Fergus Urquhart, who's like the lead dev over at Obsidian, or at least on Avowed. And Tim Kaine and Leonard Boyarsky, who are both at Obsidian, both worked on Outer Worlds. And it's kind of crazy that all of those devs are now Xbox first-party devs, from In Exile to Obsidian to Bethesda. Like, they're all under the same umbrella.
It's crazy, yeah.
Which is just quite funny. I personally don't have too much of a history with Fallout. I've only played Fallout 4. And I know that's sacrilege to a lot of people. I just wasn't playing 3 at the time. I don't know. It just kind of went past me. I played Fallout 4 like last year. Spoke about it on the podcast. I had a good time. I'm not going back to play Fallout 3 because the performance looks horrendous.
Yeah.
If there was a remake, I'd very much be into it. And I think at the time I did try New Vegas as well, but I really couldn't get into it. Give me a remake of either of those games, and I would definitely jump right in. So, I mean, really, where I'm going with this is that I wanted to kind of ask you kind of what because I know you've played more than I have. What's kind of your history with Fallout? Like, does this really, does this mean anything to you? 25 years of Fallout.
Yeah, no, it does mean quite a lot to me. Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Fallout 3. I played that game probably to completion quite a few times. And it's probably goes down as one of my favorite RPGs, I'd say. And then yeah, I really like New Vegas as well. I wasn't like a ultra mega fan of New Vegas. Like I thought it was very good, but like a lot of people preached that it's the best one by quite some margin. I personally think Fallout 3 is better. But yeah, no, it is a big deal, and I would love to see these remade, or at least one of them, preferably Fallout 3. I would absolutely play that again. If that got remade. But does it not even have a performance enhancement then? You can't even like play it at like 60.
I don't know.
Like, is that not a thing?
I don't know. I straight up don't know. Well, I mean, it would be. Are there any frame rate boosted games for the 360?
I don't know. It's a good question.
I don't know if there are. I think it's only Xbox One games that are FPS boosted. Feel free to correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah.
Anyone in the chat, but I feel like that's the case.
But yeah, it's definitely a happy time, but it's also I can't help but just be like, it would have been cool to get like an announcement like that. But it would have been
perfect.
Yeah, exactly. And stuff like that does tend to happen on anniversaries. So I can definitely see why people kind of got their hopes up for something like that. But yeah, regardless, 25 years Fallout, it's a big deal. But obviously I didn't play Fallout original or Fallout 2. Those were like PC games before my time a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So my journey started at Fallout 3, which I'm sure probably a majority of people were the same. So,
which again though, like the names I reeled off at the beginning of the segment, they worked on those early games as well. So it's just again quite great. Clearly, I think it's quite funny that when you sort of see all of those artists and those creatives speak in the same video, and then you think Xbox went out to acquire all of them, they clearly had something in mind when they went to make these acquisitions. We want the minds behind, like the foundations of some of the biggest, if not the biggest, Western RPGs around today. Whether that's Fallout or it's Elder Scrolls, etc., etc. Good stuff. Congrats, Fallout. I guess because the other angle here is that a lot of people have said it, but like Fallout being a dormant IP is crazy considering how big it is. Bethesda, the Todd is only one man. So, going from Starfield and then Elder Scrolls is obviously the next thing, and then Fallout's after that. We're waiting till like 34.
Yeah. It's gonna be a while.
You'll be 40. I'll be 40.
Shut up.
So
say stuff like that, man.
Okay, I'm sorry. Maybe if we go into some cryo sleep and enjoy some cryo gaming, we can really slow that process down.
Wow, what a great idea, Deck.
Yeah, and a remake would be a really good way to make sure that the IP still exists, because I feel like there must be like IP like dissipation,
Yeah.
IP dissipation.
Just fades away.
That must be a thing, right?
Over time.
It just goes. Yeah, like if it's not there for long enough, people start to forget about it. And obviously, there's like a big, when it comes back, the big yay for all the people. But people will not. In that whole time period, you could have indoctrinated the young.
Exactly.
You could have indoctrinated the young. Like Nintendo does. There's a Mario every 6 months. Is Mario Yahoo, and and then everybody knows who Mario is.
Yeah, it's true. So we need a Fallout game every 6 months.
I think that's exactly what I said. So
You heard
yes,
it here first.
I'm with you then. Yeah.
Crunch period's not that
We
bad.
call. Okay. Next Bethesda thing. Starfield.
Yes.
Talking Starfield with Todd Howard in a new series. I don't know if it's a new series actually, but it's in the on the Bethesda channel on YouTube. It's called Constellation Questions. I feel like this is the first in the series, but anyway, they had the community manager go and ask Todd a couple of questions. Only a 5-minute video, worth a watch. Did you feast your eyes on this wonderful man and his talking?
I did indeed.
What do you have to say about it?
Well, he's just, my eyes were feasted, right? I mean, it's great.
You're gobbling that man up.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always happy to learn more and know more about Starfield. With so little known about it. So yeah, man, this was hype. Even if it was just like a little 5-minute thing. I feel it covered some pretty important details. And it looks great. Looks fucking great, dude.
Particularly the model that they showed off at the end during the persuasion system conversation.
Yeah.
Legit, it looks really good.
It does.
It looks really good. I think the Source engine and the stuff Bethesda make, some of the stuff can look just okay, but some of the stuff can look really good. And I think they've done a really good job with the texture modeling. Obviously the faces and the face animations is one of the things that look decent, but it's not the strong point of the engine.
I still thought they look substantially better than anything they've done in the past. It looks great, but yeah.
But whereas the actual model itself looked next gen textures. Do you know what I mean? It was really detailed. A lot of pixels. Yeah, count all those pixels.
Yeah.
And then obviously alongside that, the persuasion system itself, which is one of the bigger things that they spoke about here, which we don't really have a super clear idea of how this is actually works. But there was a point system where it was 1 through to 5. And different colors probably indicating how much of a gamble those statements are to try and persuade someone. There might be a chance that you have to get that person to let's say 4 points, and you can do a couple of +1 statements, or you can risk it with a +4 statement. Depending on your skill and everything. So it seemed like a cool way to do it. And I saw a lot of people talking about the dialogue system, in Oblivion. Do you remember that, when it was like a circle, and you could tell a joke, or you could insult, or you could be and it was this really weird system. And they were they're trying to work on something like that, that, because that's what a lot of people have said, that in terms of the RPG-ness, Starfield is a continuation of Oblivion.
Yeah. yeah,
which people are happy with.
yeah, they're definitely going for more of those character to character sort of relationships and stuff like that, and bringing back the old school Bethesda RPG dialogue choices, that sort of thing. Where they boiled that down for their sequels in like Fallout 4, and I don't think people were too pleased with it. So yeah, it's good to see it going back to its roots and adapting on it as well. So yeah, really cool.
Yeah, that's right. They also spoke about the traits that we saw in the trailer back in the Xbox showcase. They showed off a few more here as well. When you build your character, love that shit. And a lot of the traits come with negatives as well. And the Outer Worlds had like a bit of this, and I thought that was implemented pretty good for the most part. I don't think it was perfect, but it's pretty good. But I like the idea of this. And one of the things they said here is that actually the negative sides of those traits can be removed in game. There's a quest line you can go through to get rid of the negative part of it. And I was like, that is a great idea. That is a great idea. Because then you always have it, even if you don't do it immediately, you always have it in your head that you can go through something. Not only does it generate like an individual quest, depending on what you've picked, you have an option to kind of take that away, and you can, it helps you view those, because sometimes when this games do this, the negative trait is just too annoying to deal with for the whole game.
Yeah.
It's like you fall over every 5 steps, and it's like, I'm not doing that.
Exactly.
Like, it doesn't matter how good the thing is, I'm not like doing something shitty like that. Whereas if it's something I knew I could beeline in the first 5 hours of the game, that changes things. So yeah. I like that. I like that.
Plus, it creates uniqueness across everyone's playthroughs as well. You pick different skills to me, I pick different skills to you. We get different quest lines and stuff like that. And yeah, and essentially different play styles too. So yeah, no, that's a big thumbs up from me.
That's right.
Sounds really cool.
Todd also said that Starfield by far has the most quest depth of any Bethesda game software game yet. And they said that, like, in terms of like size, Starfield is it's the biggest, not by like loads and loads and loads, but it is the biggest. But more importantly, there's more depth to everything, which I thought was quite interesting, because with the whole 1,000 planets thing, I don't know how they're measuring that, but I like this. I like depth and intricacy to like levels and quests, and even like just looking at all of the voice work, like even in that trailer, like again with the persuasion system, that's a lot. And this goes hand in hand with what Todd said, that they just crossed 250,000 lines of dialogue in Starfield. And Fallout 4 was their last biggest one, and that had 111 lines. They're not even done yet. Yeah. It's more than double, and Fallout 4 was their biggest. Skyrim had 60,000, and that's still considered a pretty big game.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah,
it's big. It's big.
It's the biggest. Yeah, man. Yeah, and obviously that's great to hear, because people are obviously scared that with the whole 1,000 planets thing and so much going on, that the game might be quite shallow in a lot of ways, and one of the ways could have been something like this. So it's good to have that confirmed, that it's not just going to be like, crap tons of planets and some of them are copy pasta, and then they end up just being fetch quests. It's nice to know that they have this depth as well. It's reassuring. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, absolutely. Last point really was Todd that had this conversation with the community manager about kind of hard versus soft science, and where the game kind of sits on that dichotomy. And it's kind of interesting because he said that typically it's something which is quite subjective. If you're not familiar, like hard science would be something essentially which is like more realistic. You can think of it on that scale. It's like a non-realistic to realistic sci-fi. Think of something like Outriders, maybe Destiny. That's maybe a bit more soft science. Whereas like a flight sim, like Elite Dangerous, that would be like hard science, because you've got to manage your petrol and the gravity and your oxygen, and he said that he does think, and the team think about it as a bit more hard sciencey, but there is considerations and compromises made there. Like, for example, he spoke about how in early builds of the game, you could run out of fuel. Like, you do have fuel to manage with your ship, and you could run out of fuel, and it would essentially, you'd stop dead in your tracks, and it would really just create a barrier to do the next thing that you wanted to do. Like presumably you wouldn't just hang around in space and then have to, push up on the stick for 5 hours to get to the closest planet.
Yeah, just dribble
like,
your way over.
but you'd have to call an SOS, get pulled to the nearest planet, refuel, and then go. So it would like create a barrier. So what he said in the game now that you don't run out of fuel, but you do have to manage and upgrade your fuel capacity. And what that essentially allows you to do is travel further and like how far you can go between planets, and it like opens the scope of the game. It essentially acts as the exploration like regulator.
Like you can now reach this.
Like, I can go to the
next
solar system. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I like that.
Which sounds so. And so of course that what that does mean is that you don't have to by the sounds of it, you don't have to micromanage a fuel and end up floating around in space for no good reason. So so it's kind of that kind of distinction between hard and soft. And I just thought that was a really interesting conversation. Because there is like an element of realism to Starfield. It's not like Destiny where it's kind of like heavy on fiction.
Yeah.
So we'll see. This game continues to be really, really interesting for a lot of different reasons. It's shaping up really nicely. I really hope this ends up being some of Bethesda's best work. I really, really do. Especially because it's a new IP for them. It must be so like liberating to work on something that isn't Fallout and Elder Scrolls. So first time in 25 years or whatever. And I also think Xbox are going to be leaning mega heavy into this next year as their marquee title. So I really hope that they can pull it off.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we've only got a couple of things left. So if you've been with us this whole time, if you've just joined, if you're listening after the fact, I would really appreciate if you could hit that like button. It really helps us out. I'll ask you to maybe consider subscribing. And, maybe come around, follow us on Twitter. It's in the description if you're interested. But that'd be really nice. We stream this time every week on a Sunday to, help you through your chores or whatever it is you're doing. We'll be right here for you and you only.
Cool. Yeah, I was literally actually just about to throw in a little point that the shops are closing soon and kind of need to do some food shopping. So let's get through these last couple of story. No, it isn't coffee. I need food for tonight.
It's not important.
We don't have food. So.
All right. Xbox does a funny. This is really important news that definitely won't slow you down for getting
Thanks,
on
man.
with your day. So all the megacorps were doing the really funny thing this year where they say, "Oh, be careful of check your candy, check your chocolate," because of that thing that happened where people were putting razor blades in fucking candy. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
It's weird, isn't it? It's weird.
Humans, am I right?
Yeah, humans, I guess. Anyway, Xbox made this post about the chocolate bar, and they said, "We found troll posts in ours, and they won't stop repeating the same thing over and over." And it's just little tweets of people saying PlayStation better stuffed into the chocolate.
It's
Why do people do that? It's good to every Xbox post. PlayStation better.
Yeah, because they have nothing better to do. You think they'd be playing their fucking PlayStation, but they're not.
Playing Twitter, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think they'd be playing God of War for the 5th time? Got him.
Yeah. Get fucked. Okay. There's an ask to join feature coming to the dashboard along with some DVR improvements. On the Xbox Series S and X, game DVR captures at 720p and 1080p will now experience up to a 30% increase in bitrate. I know a lot of people will be really happy to hear this, and hopefully it's the start of more improvements for DVR, because DVR does need some work. I don't have the same problems a lot of people online seem to have with it. A lot of people say crashes, they can't transfer their saves to their phone or upload them to Twitter. It just is really, really poor. I don't have that experience, but I don't use DVR that much. I do save stuff, but I don't do much. I clip stuff, but I don't do much with it beyond that. Have you had a weird experience with DVR at all?
I mean, I've used it a couple of times recently with the Overwatch clips that I've been putting in our WhatsApp chats and stuff. I haven't had any issues sort of accessing this from the app, downloading and uploading to another platform. It's been pretty smooth for me. So yeah, I mean, I guess I'm just kind of lucky, but yeah, I mean, more improvements, right? It can't help. I just want them to bring back the fact that you could watch clips without fucking opening up an entirely new app and screen. Like, I liked when you could just watch
Yeah,
it and still stay on the game that you're on. It really triggers me that
they
they
just
removed
overlaid,
that.
didn't it?
Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
so that would be really nice. That would be a quality of life change that I'd actually like them to bring back for me, because we
Yeah,
had it
definitely,
and they took
definitely.
it away. So I don't know.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah.
Yeah, and then the second part of this, to read straight off the page, want to join a friend but aren't sure if they've got room for more? Starting today, a random subset of users will see the Ask to Join feature is now easier to use. Just navigate to a friend's profile and use the Ask to Join button to send them a notification letting them know you're interested. Then they can easily respond with a message or an invite to get you into the game. Social features, yeah, good. More social features.
It's kind of cool. Yeah, it's nice that you can just have a status that you're kind of, you're not full and you're willing to get more people in. I guess that's kind of nice.
Yeah. I think. Well, we were talking about it before, but like, yeah, like more social features. Where's my activity feed? Give it back. Let me see my friends' clips.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, let me see my friends' clips, achievements, what they've been playing, that sort of
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
yeah, really, really buried because like I think you can. I don't even know. Like I literally don't even know. Like if I wanted to try and find something that did that, I wouldn't even know where to look. Like I feel like there's somewhere that shows like some achievements from the friends list, but definitely not clips like we used to have with the activity feed. So yeah, by all means,
Yeah.
just keep working on this social side of it because it's really taken a downgrade from what it used to be, and let alone the 360. It was really integrated quite heavily there.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Okay, last story. Tiny little stuff. There's been a trademark for Project Mara. Project Mara, if you don't remember, was like Ninja Theory's experimental horror title with this like hyper realistic, focusing on kind of psychological horror. We know very little about it. They did like I want to call it like a tech demo or something, just to show off like how they're trying to make it hyper realistic, and it did in fact look hyper realistic.
Okay.
But it's now trademarked, and it makes me wonder if we'll get an announcement or any more info on this soon. But maybe a name reveal as well. Might be a Game Awards thing.
Yeah, I could see that.
Ninja Theory have been at the Game Awards for the last 2 or 3 years with Hellblade. Maybe instead of seeing Hellblade again this year, considering we saw gameplay last year, maybe we see Project Mara and a name reveal. So,
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that being potential. Yeah. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's definitely something different to what they normally make as well. So
yeah.
yeah.
Or maybe they announce it on Halloween.
Spooky.
I think that'd be pretty cool.
That would be pretty cool.
That'd
I
be a
think
good
it's
way to
more
get people to
likely.
associate the game with Halloween.
I think it's more likely we'll probably see it at the Game Awards, but it'd be kind of cool to see it. Yeah, sort of announced like that. Yeah.
Yeah. Joaquin says Hellblade 2023, Project Mario 2024. Yep, I'm with you, mate.
Yeah, it's
no
not coming
doubt
out next
there.
year. Yeah.
I reckon Hellblade is a bit of a. I'm not sure if it makes next year. I don't know why. I
It'll
just
be
have a funny
close.
feeling. I think
It'll be close.
Yeah, it'll be holiday if there is a time that it comes out. It would be holiday. But we've heard that studio was really badly impacted by COVID because they do a lot of mocap and like texture scanning, to get stuff to look so good. So it's a lot of in-person stuff. So that really slowed things down, is what we've heard. So we'll see. I reckon if that does come out, it'll be end of 2023. So we'll see. Because at the moment, I'm just going day by day because, it's been a dry year. Things have picked up a little bit in the back half of this year. Next year's packed across the board, but in terms of Xbox first party showing, we know Starfield and Redfall there, which is great. I'm sure there's some other stuff I'm missing, but we have no announcements about any of the other games coming next year. Like, is Avowed next year? Is Hellblade also next year? But that starts to become quite packed if those two things are true. With big marquee titles. So yeah, exciting stuff. We'll have to see.
Indeed. Indeed.
Indeed. All right, Tim. Do you want to smack the jingle? And we'll have a little, do our little outro, a little thing.
Yeah. Let's do it. We're jingling, buddy.
Great. Well, thanks everyone for joining us today. It was a good show. We had a lot of stuff to talk about. We'll see what happens next week. Dear God, I hope there's nothing more from the CMA, but I'm fucking kidding myself if I think that there won't be.
Oh, there will be.
So that's just going to be, like at this point, the CMA and generally just Activision Blizzard have as much of a right to this podcast as we do.
Yeah.
It's like a guest.
Yeah.
It's right there off screen.
We'll have them on next week.
That's right. As I said before, if you've been here, if you've enjoyed what you've heard, if you like what we do consider giving us a like, consider subscribing, coming around on Twitter, notification bell, all that good stuff. Any closing thoughts, Tim, before we peace on out of here? Other than that you don't have the skin on your fish?
No. Nothing from me, man. And I do eat the skin on my fish sometimes. I'm not a complete no person. Jesus, man. Help me like that.
But you do eat like lemon skin, don't you?
No, I don't eat lemon skin. Where'd this rumour come from?
Okay, well, you used to. You fucking used to, alright?
Maybe it's like a fucking trick in school. I ate a lemon peel every now and again, but I was never just the eater of lemon peels.
Well, in my head, you were the kid who ate lemon skin, so...
Wow, and that's remained
that's not my
at
fault.
the front of your brain for this long. 28 and you still see me as the lemon-eating kid.
That's
fucking fantastic.
That's it. You just come into your house and there's just like lemons without skin, like segments of lemon around your room.
Stop scurvy, mate.
Bye, Ron.
You never know when scurvy's going to come back. Shit makes a return. But yeah, bye everyone. Watch out for scurvy. Eat your lemon peels.
That's such good advice.